Hey everybody, it's Beth from Inspiring Young Learners, and welcome to day 3 of our 5-day challenge. I have enjoyed seeing all of the different people that have been coming and commenting and sharing the ways that you are getting ready for back to school, and your excitement helps inspire all of us. So keep doing that, keep taking the challenge, post it, share what you're working on, and just remember there that every post that you share about the challenge and what you're working on, you'll be entered to win the grand prize, which is a 1-year membership to Equipping ELLs. Equipping ELLs is a community of like-minded teachers where I provide the resources and the support for you, trainings, and just an opportunity to get to know some other educators that are teachers of ELLs. So doors will open to that in about 2 weeks, but you have an opportunity to win that if you work on the challenge this week. So how's everybody doing? If you are here, let me know. Let me get my comments set up over here because I can't see them from my computer. I don't know why they do that way, but they do. So anyways, I hope that you guys are enjoying this back to school challenge. Let's review real fast. Day 1 was all about creating a welcoming environment and a welcoming classroom, which is so important. That's the beginning step to the foundation to support ELLs in the classroom. They have to feel comfortable and confident, and they have to know that you are trustworthy so that they are able to take risks without feeling like a failure. So learning language is scary. You have to take a lot of risks. And so we want to make sure that our students feel very welcomed. I loved reading that list of books, of diverse books that you have in your classroom. A lot of them I've never heard of, so I'm going to go check those out and add them to my collection as well. They look like some really great suggestions. Let me see who is here. Go ahead and say hi in the comments if you're here today. Let's keep reviewing. So day 2 yesterday was setting up the communication center where I shared with you about Airtable, something that's just been so transformative and helpful in my business and life. So I wanted to share that with you. And I know I saw a few of you post in the comments that you'd set up your free account. You'd gotten the base. So let me know if you have been able to do that. Let's see who's here. All right, Chica, you're here. Hi, how are you? Helen's here. All right, you guys have been the faithful ones to come every day live. I love it. Thanks for joining. And if you can't make it live, don't worry. The replay will be here all day. All right, let's go on then. Today is day 3, and today we're going to be talking about lesson planning. So, like I said, it's 7 a.m. here, so I'm still waking up, which is why I need my coffee. All right, so today we're going to be talking about lesson planning, and I am very passionate about helping you lesson plan with your ELLs in mind, because I know that when I first started teaching, I really believed that the more time I spent lesson planning, the better teacher I was. And so that led to me staying at school from 2:45 when the kids went home till like 6 or 7 almost every night. And then also working on the weekends. I was constantly bringing stuff back and forth. Not that I'd always open my teacher bag, but definitely would lug all these things home on the weekends and lug them back. And it just was a constant like feeling that I was never prepared and always trying to find something new. And it was exhausting. It really was tiring. And that was really impacting how I was teaching and showing up each day, because I just, even though I spent all that time, didn't feel like I had a good grasp on what my students needed. And so I do not want you to feel that same way. That can really lead to burnout and just exhaustion of us not feeling like we're ever prepared. So let me know in the comments if you've ever felt like that, because that was the first couple of years of my teaching, was spent hours a day planning and researching and finding the materials and preparing the materials, and then still in the lessons being like, oh, is this really what I should do? I don't know. So that is a terrible feeling. And so that's why I'm really, really passionate about helping you simplify, streamline, clarify your lesson planning process, because, I know a lot of you, you're in multiple schools, you're working with students K through 12, you have mixed language groups, you have a lot going on. And so it's understandable that lesson planning can be really overwhelming. But I am really I believe in there's a streamlined process. There's a way that we can simplify lesson planning and still really provide quality, engaging resources. So actually mark your calendars August 15th. I'm going to be doing a longer webinar on this because I really do believe in helping you have the tools to simplify your lesson planning process, get some of that time back so you can enjoy teaching more and enjoy your personal life more. So mark your calendars, August 15th. I'm going to be doing a webinar called How to Cut Your Planning Time in Half and Still Provide Quality and Engaging Lessons for your ELL. So that will be like an hour-long webinar about this topic. But I wanted to share today with you 3 tips to help you get started in the process of simplifying your lesson planning. So let's check here. Andrea, you're here. Good morning. And Chica and Helen said yes with the lesson planning and just feeling like you're never really prepared. So let's jump into those 3 tips for today. Our first tip is to start with a year-long plan. Okay. So often, I think because when we're working with ESL students, a lot of times we don't have curriculum for them. And so that's a major reason why we always feel like we're trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to find more materials and trying to, lesson plan to the extreme of all these different groups because we don't have that guidance. And even when you do, I know some schools are starting to incorporate a curriculum for their ELL students. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming to figure out how to fit that all in when you only have 30 minutes a couple times a week with these students. And so start right now and getting that guide. Going off of, last year, what worked for you? What were you doing each month? If you need more of a guide in the back to school challenge, there you go. That first box is a scope and sequence that I just put together. And you can grab that, you can download that every month. It gives you just a brief overview. It's nothing super in depth, but it's something that gives you 3 goals you can work on with newcomers, 3 goals you can work on with intermediates, some WIDA can-do descriptors that you can focus on. I mean, that's where it gets overwhelming when you start to get into the WIDA standards, the WIDA can-do standards, the Common Core standards. And I don't know if you're like me, but you just kind of feel like, I'm suffocating under all of these standards. Can't someone just tell me what to do? So the scope and sequence is kind of that, just to give you like a way to be able to take a breath and I pulled out some of those can-do standards. I give you some question stems, a few scaffolds that you can use. And so just to kind of cut out the noise. There's so much noise in our world. And so I want to really help cut out some of that noise, give you a clear path. So go ahead, download that scope and sequence. I'll also post it here in the Facebook group. It's a free guide. If you are in equipping ELLs, you will have the more in-depth one, which has the lesson plans that go with it. And so that you can start with as well. So that's tip number 1. Start with that year-long plan. Start with having that vision of, where do we want our kids to be able to go? Which groups am I working with this year? If you're working with mostly newcomers, your year-long plan is going to look really different than if you're working with mixed level groups. If you're a push-in teacher, co-teacher, your plan is going to look really different than if you are a pull-out teacher. So look at that whole plan. Look at where you want to go with this year. Set some goals for yourself. Set some goals for your students. That's going to help you. If you have that plan, that's going to help you really be an advocate for your students. And when you go into those meetings, when you get back to school and you're working with the homeroom teachers, when you already have that plan in place, it's going to help you have a lot more authority in those meetings and saying, okay, here's where we're going with our EL students. How can we get there? How can you as a homeroom teacher help get there? So tip number 2 is to try to meet now with the teams that you work with and plan in all the dates for the year. Again, when we have that 30,000 foot overview and we can see where we're going, it's going to help our lesson planning. I know personally when I didn't have that, I usually didn't do this. It just felt like this constant hamster wheel of trying to catch up and trying to find something today that I needed today, and then the next day I'd need something completely different. And so constantly spending hours on Google, really not finding much, but spending a lot of time trying to figure out what my students needed. So if we can now get this 30,000 foot view and set that plan in action, when we get down to the day to day, it's going to be a lot clearer of what we need, and it will help us kind of refocus and, not get caught up in all of these shiny objects everywhere will help us focus in on what our students need because we have that plan from the beginning. So start now, meet with your team, mark in those holidays, assemblies, field trips, because we know our schedules get very, discombobulated. Put in the assessments that you're going to be doing, putting in that now so you know when you have those chunks and blocks of time that you can teach without interruption. And then also, if you can get from them, for this first month, this upcoming month, what units are they going to be working on? What content topics are they going to be working on? When you can see that ahead of time, you then can really help prepare the scaffolds and supports that your students need for that content. But if it's, you're constantly, that's why if we're always feeling like we're putting out fires, or they're saying, oh, next week we're working on this, and now you have to go and find vocabulary for that and front load it and build the background, that's when you get really stressed and you're spending a lot of time lesson planning. So if you can have those conversations now before the school year starts, and at least, plan out the first month or plan out the first quarter of what content topics are going to be covered and how can I help support the ELL students in your class with those. Something that's really important. I've been reading a lot of research on ELLs and supporting them in the classroom this summer. And a big takeaway that I'm finding over and over and over again is ELLs have to learn language through content, and it has to be meaningful. So the more that you can help your students connect to the content that they're learning in class and making it meaningful and giving them supports to do that, the more successful they're going to be. One, in their content class, they're going to have more success. They're going to feel more confident because they've already had, a glimpse at some of this vocabulary, and now they're hearing it again in the classroom, and they're going to be able to respond and say, hey, I know this. I know what this word means. They're going to have something to add to the classroom discussion. But it's also because we're not going to be pulling language out of context and trying to teach it standalone. This is especially important for our intermediate ELLs. Our newcomers, they need some standalone, just English foundational vocabulary, phrases, grammar. But our intermediates, as much as we can try to connect our lessons to what they're learning in the homeroom classroom, the more successful they are going to be. And I think the more on board our homeroom teachers are going to get when they are able to see, that you're working alongside them to help these EL students understand and unlock the language for their content. So that's number 2, is to meet with your teams now and really try to set up at least that first month of what are they going to be teaching? What are some of those academic vocabulary words that your ELLs need to learn? And then that's going to give you a starting place. And then number 3 is to start simple and give yourself permission to start simple. I know that this is very challenging. We have so many ideas, and it's really hard to figure out what is the best place to start, what's the best idea. It's really hard to sometimes prioritize things, but this is really vital for our ELLs and for us, that we don't burn ourselves out because we're always trying new things. This was me. I am so guilty of this. Every week it'd be like, oh, well, this is a good idea. Let's start to incorporate this. And then it'd kind of go to the side. Oh, let's start to do this. And then I'd forget about it. And so let's not do that this year. Let's give ourselves permission to start simple and to go slow, because language learning takes time. Let's not get into the usual mindset of, August is here, hit the ground running, go full speed ahead, and go that way, go that same speed all the way until June. All right? So tell me in the chat right now that you are not going to do that. We're not going to go full speed ahead. We are going to give ourselves permission to start simple and to go slow. So give me a thumbs up if you're going to do that, because it's really important. I think we in our mindset need to have that mentality. And so, starting to add in small routines for those first couple of weeks. I recommend doing like a daily picture warm-up. I can post that in the Facebook group. I have for the entire year daily warm-ups of a picture that engages the students and just gives them a quick way to talk or to write. That's a great way to start your class every day. So starting to add in those routines that they can expect to have. That is really important for our ELLs in their lessons, that they can kind of have some sort of framework of here's what this lesson will look like, here's where we're going. When you give that to them, their output is going to be so much better then when every day they don't know what to expect, what's going to be in class today, I don't know. But when they know, okay, every day when I walk in, I'm going to begin with this activity, that helps them feel safe, and that helps them really engage with the materials. So you could use, a picture every day to get started, or maybe you want to incorporate dialogue journals this year. Start the year doing that. Maybe you do it on Mondays and Fridays. Start simple. Set that routine up for them so that they are successful and you are successful. When we try to do so many things at once, then it just gets too much. Recently, so I'm going to start homeschooling our daughters this year. And I said, you know what? I got all this curriculum and I have all these ideas and want to incorporate all of these things that are going to be so fun. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to start simple. We're going to start with this handwriting book, and I'm going to set the timer and do this for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to work one-on-one with them for 30 minutes. And that's all I'm doing to start. And that's very not my personality. I wanted to do all these things, But what I saw was after the first day, they knew exactly what they needed to do. They got in there, they set, they got their own books out, they set the timer themselves because they really need that consistency. Our students need the same thing. So, point number 3, start simple, go slow, give your permission to go slow, build those relationships, and don't put the pressure on them and that feeling like, all right, back to school's here, we're going to go 100 miles per hour. And then they're going to feel like they're going to get lost in the dust and they're not going to get what they need. So when you can have that feeling in your classroom that you're there for them, that you're going to go at the pace they need to go, you can go faster when you see they are ready to go faster, and then you're going to slow down when you see that they need some more time. Let's give ourselves permission to do that. So awesome. Today is the Teachers Pay Teachers site-wide sale. So if you are looking for some resources like those monthly speaking and writing cards, I also have some digital lesson plan templates that are scaffolded to support ELLs. So that's also going to be a time saver for you. It goes through almost the SIAP model, similar to that, building background, sharing language objectives, front-loading vocabulary, gradual release model of responsibilities, and it's templates that are already done for you. So I will post those in the Facebook group. I'll post the monthly speaking writing cards. If you teach newcomers, I have a whole year curriculum that already has lesson plans written for you. I can post that as well. But things that will just make your year much easier, and that you can rest and you can go home after school and you don't need to take your teacher bag home filled with materials. So that's what I'm passionate about, is giving you that time back so you can enjoy your personal life, enjoy your family, your friends, and also enjoy teaching and know and feel confident that you're prepared for each day. So that is today's challenge. You can check it out here. Today, you can print and review that monthly scope and sequence that I was sharing about. Number 2 is download this lesson plan and add it to your plan book. So I give you a framework for writing lesson plans for ELLs, pulling out some of the scaffolds. You can just check mark which scaffold you want to use. And then last, I have a video that kind of walks you through how to make the most of a lesson and really pack in a lot without having to, find all these resources, but really just using one resource and making the most of that time. So good luck on today's challenge. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Please post a picture or write in the comments what you're working on, takeaways you've had, and how you're preparing this back to school season to start simple and go slow. All right, everybody, have a great day. I will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, with ways to add in tech to support your ELLs. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.